So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to a new episode of Is It That Bad? Where we take a look at an album that maybe got mixed reviews and we listen to it again with fresh ears and we decide, is it that bad or is it not that bad? And we both give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And today I'm joined again by JC Rock and Metal Reviews. So, JC, how are you?
Hi, thanks. Doing good.
And Greg from Drifting to Black for the second time doing this. We did the Pink Floyd one, which it's one of the best performing Is It That Bad? Because, that was a cool one. So, Greg, how are you?
Very good. Hanging in there. Yeah, glad to be here, bro. It's interesting because I haven't heard this album since it came out, and I've listened to it several times today, and I realized that I don't know, it's not the same compared to it's not the same now from when I compared to I listened to it then. So yeah.
The album we're talking about is Judas Priest-Nostradamus, and this album came out in 2008, and I did a poll for Judas Priest album. I think it was Turbo, Nostradamus, Jugulator, and I'm trying to remember the fourth one, but I thought Turbo was going to get the most votes, but no, people wanted us to talk about Nostradamus. So here we are. Like Greg, I hadn't listened to this in a long time. So yeah, you know the drill. We have the 3 rounds where we give our first impressions of when we listen to this. Then we pick 3 tracks that we maybe think are not the best ones. And this is a double album. There's a lot of fucking songs on this album, so there's a lot to pick or a lot to like. But we'll get to it on that second round, and then we'll give our final thoughts and we'll vote if is it that bad or maybe it's not that bad. So yeah, so for the first round today, let's start today with JC. So JC, did you listen to this when it came out in 2008?
No, I didn't know about it in 2008. I listened to it maybe a few years later. I think the last time I listened to it was maybe last year because I went through all their discography. I did a tier list for Judas Priest, and then when we decided to do this one, I listened to it again, and it's a very long album. I mean, it just feels very long, and I think it has its moments. Like there's some good parts in here. This is the type of album that I think like they could pick it apart, take out some songs, and maybe make a really good concept album, because it's very overblown. It's very like they're trying to do like something very theatrical. They're trying to do like something like symphonic metal, and I think like this isn't the band for that. So it's the type of album that it's hard for me to listen to like from front to back. I have to like listen to it in little I'll listen to like a couple tracks and then I'll go back to it later on. And so it's not like something like it feels very like long for me to listen from start to finish. So that's all I'll say for now.
Yeah, well, JC, since this is an album about history, can you give us a short history of who Nostradamus was?
Well, yeah, of course. I was into Nostradamus like when I was younger, because he would make all these predictions, and I keep like seeing all these things pop up on the internet about how he made these 2014 predictions or 24, whatever year we are. Like people say that, oh, he predicted the 9/11, he predicted the wars and all this. I think people just read. They just like take what he says and they just like overinterpret it. That's what I think. I don't think this guy predicted anything. I think it's just
there's correct predicting.
Yeah.
Plus, I heard that Nostradamus predicted that in 2003 there was going to be an album that had a tin can for drums, and it was called Saint Anger.
Yeah.
No, it's a joke. So yeah, there you go. Nostradamus, a little history lesson for kids of who Nostradamus was. So yeah, good first impressions on the album. So Greg, what did you first think of this? Because you said that you re-listened to it today, this week after a long time, but you did listen to it when it came out. So what did you think of it like way back in 2008?
I think I appreciate it more now than I did then, mainly because Drift into Black has become like, kind of been prone to doing concept albums. So
Yeah.
I kind of like that idea and everything. But I do agree with JC. It's too fucking long. I don't have an hour and 42 minutes to listen to music and interludes and everything like that. I get it. I get it. What they could have did was chop it up for one album, 10 songs, 11 songs. Even 11 songs is too much. 10 songs, because some of these interludes are filler. Some of them are pretty good, but an hour and 42 minutes is just too. Listen, we don't have the attention span. We're idiots. Okay, we're all idiots. We don't have the attention span. We don't. So you gotta cater to us. An hour and 42 minutes is too long. But that being said, there's some amazing tracks on here. There's some tracks that that sound like vintage Priest, but and then there's some parts synths added in there and stuff like that. So I'm hearing a lot of 70s and 80s Priest in there too. So
yeah, that's why I wanted Greg here to give us that, because he likes his concept albums. So yeah, so your first impressions when you first heard it, being younger, maybe you didn't appreciate it as much back then. So to me, I remember I did listen to it when it came out way back in 2008. But to be honest, I couldn't remember anything out of that album. It's been years, and back then I was more of an Iron Maiden fan than Judas Priest, to be honest. So I did listen to Judas Priest, but I wasn't like, I think the album that was before that, The Angel of Retribution or something, that was a fucking amazing album. But yeah, I think it's how long the album is. It's too long. They divided it into 2 discs, but there's a lot of interludes. Maybe lose some interludes and have it be more cohesive, because there's some songs that they do have that classic like guitar tinge to Judas Priest, but they have like some synth experimentation, and some songs felt like I was in the Middle East. Like it had that Middle Eastern flavor to it. I can't remember where it was. Nostradamus from the Middle East, I can't remember right now. Because I remember the only thing I remember about Nostradamus is like being in the 80s and 90s, and there was like a documentary of Nostradamus and how apparently he saw shit. I remember in that documentary, it was like, I think it was when the Gulf War was, and apparently they said, oh, he predicted Saddam Hussein. And I'm like, it was a guy, a prince in a desert. It could have been fucking anyone. It could have been Aladdin. like you don't know. So yeah, when I did listen to it when it came out, but I didn't pay that much attention to it because it was so long. So yeah, so listen to it now, it was like listening to an album that I couldn't remember any track out of it. So it was a different experience. So yeah, I can't remember what I thought when it came out, because I didn't pay enough attention to it. So yeah, those are our first impressions of Judas Priest Nostradamus. So now let's go to the second round where we talk tracks. And JC, what 3 tracks do you pick that you think are your least favorite out of this one?
Okay, the first one I'm gonna pick like 2, but I'm gonna count it as one. It's like track 5 to 4 Horsemen. It's just filler. it's just like people singing in church during Sunday mass. That's kind of what it sounded like. And then that goes into the track War, where I think they were trying to do like a symphonic metal, but I think it was just lacking some of those like guitar riffs that we all like from this band. And I think I'm listening to this, Rob Halford, he sings great. I think maybe like if he brought on like a female vocalist, I think that would have made it a little better. You know, just when you have female vocals with the symphonic metal, I think it works better. So that's my first pick. My second pick is going to be track 12 on side one called Lost Love. It's just this power ballad, boring. It kind of like sounded like 70s, like soft rock. So it was excuse me, like that. So that was that kind of like really like dragged the album. And the same thing on the set on disc 2, track 7, New Beginnings, pretty much the same thing. Very overblown. It was kind of boring. The production very theatrical, and I think they were trying to sound like the band Queen, but like they can't really pull that off. And another thing with like the production on this album, I think some of these songs could have been more stripped down. I think they used a lot of different like sound effects, because you're hearing like guitars and drums and the bass, and then you hear the keyboards, and you hear orchestration, you hear violins, and you hear like spaceships in the background or whatever it is. I mean, it's just like if you're listening on headphones, you can hear all this like stuff. It kind of seems like too much. I think they could have stripped down a little bit, but anyway, those are my 3 tracks. Yeah.
Maybe you're listening to Nostradamus thoughts. That's why they put so much stuff like on that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those are the 3 picks by JC. So Greg, what songs did you pick?
I agree with him with the Four Horsemen, with that, and New Beginnings as well. I listened to that track. I was like, this is not Priest at all. Like, you know, but I get it. It's a concept album. So if you're going to do a concept album, there's going to be some songs that you're going to veer off to fit the storyline. And to me, like, I give them a pass on that. Although I don't think New Beginnings is a good fucking song. It should have been called New Endings, and it shouldn't have been recorded. And I'm gonna go bold and say Visions. I don't like Visions.
Yeah,
I don't like Visions because I think what halted this, what fans didn't like about this album was their choices of singles. I think there are so much other better songs on this album than the singles they picked. Visions, I don't think was a good second single for it. So
what were the singles for this?
it was the first single was Nostradamus, and the second single was Visions. So
yeah, I couldn't even remember what they picked for this album. So,
but I do appreciate the symphonic metal and everything like that. I do believe I do enjoy the fact that they tried to, you know, evolve and expand and everything like that. You know, I did like this album. I really did. I did. But there's a lot of clunkers, and a lot of those clunkers could have been into a 10-song album. Too long.
yeah, it is too long. And I was reading that this album, like way back in 2005, they were touring, and their manager Bill Corbishley, pitched this idea to the band. And also,
Yeah.
this was the last album they had. Kiki Downing was on that the last album that he played, right?
I think so. KK Downing? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So yeah, they pitched that idea to him, and uh, they all said, you know, it was ballsy, it was something different for the band. They hadn't done a concept album per se, so yeah, I can understand, and I think if someone could pull that out, I think Rob Halford with his voice can pull a lot of things out. So, so to me, let's pick the three tracks that I think are the weakest. You know, there's a lot of tracks here. I didn't like. I don't count the Four Horsemen. That's like an interlude. That's like a minute and 35. But I really didn't like War. I don't know. It felt like anticlimactic. It didn't feel like it was gonna be a war. I don't know. It didn't do anything for me. Yeah, it felt like maybe it's a boring. I don't know. It felt like we're going to war. And I'm like, and at first I wonder which fucking war is he predicting. And then I'm gonna pick a different song. I didn't like Death. It's like 7 minutes and 33 seconds, and I thought it was trying to be like all ominous and stuff, but I don't know. It didn't do it for me. And some of the vocals there for Rob Halford, he sounded, I don't know why there's that part like he does like he's talking, and I don't know why he reminded me of Count Chocula on that part, and just on that part alone. So I'm picking different ones because I want to pick some different ones, but we have one in common. I have one in common with JC that I think it's an atrocious track, and it's Lost Love. And I want to do that one in song format. Why can't I see the future? She dumped me, I don't know why. 'Cause I'm a prophet. I see the future. She left me walking alimony. I am broke Nostradamus. She left me and I couldn't see why. Oh, yeah, that's it. So any record label, if you're watching this, I'm available. I can record my crappy album any day of the week. So yeah, that song, it felt like a Disney song, and he's all about like lost love, and he's saying like, oh, he lost the love and he can find it, and that's what I just said. Like, aren't you supposed to be like a prophet and see the future? Like, couldn't you see that she was gonna be lost? I just thought that the song was so corny and such a ballad, and not even Rob Halford could save that song. That could have been Aladdin. So yeah, I think I wonder what people will think when they hear this and like, what, like, how dare he review albums and sing that crap that he just did. But yeah, those are my three songs. There's a lot of like interludes that I think that I would cut off. But now let's talk about the final round. Let's talk about like if there's some good qualities to this album, and give it a final rating and a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So JC, what are your final thoughts on this and rating?
Okay, I'm gonna give it a thumbs down only because it's not the type of album that's easy to listen to from front to back. It's just like a double album. There are very few double albums that I can listen to like front to back. There's Pink Floyd, The Wall. There's Led Zeppelin's Physical Graffiti, Smashing Pumpkins, and Melancholy. So those I can listen to front to back at any time. This thing, like, I have to listen to like maybe like 30 minutes of it, and then like I have to like stop and listen to something else. It just kind of too overblown. But with that being said, I think they could like remake it and take some of the songs, just redo them, maybe sound a little stripped down, like Craig was saying before. A good pick out maybe 10 songs that sticks with the concept, tells the story, and you could have a pretty decent album. Like, so some concept albums don't need to be long, like an Operation Mindcrime. That's like a 45-minute album. You know, I think it would have worked better as just like a single album, and they could have just like there are some good songs here. So if you're making like a playlist on Spotify or YouTube, I think it'll work. You know, just pick it out. Some song like Alone. I like the song Prophecy. It's very catchy. But otherwise, but just because of like the whole length of it, I'm gonna give it a thumbs down. But there are some good tracks in here.
Okay. So JC, please.
Yeah.
I prophesize this. You're gonna be okay. So, Greg, what are your final thoughts on this one?
I'm gonna give it a thumbs up because I enjoy concept albums and I appreciate all the interludes and everything like that. But as I get older, my attention span has shortened. So I do agree with JC in regards to, you know, 10 songs would have been perfect. 2 or 3 interludes in there, and some of the greatest songs that are on this. And there's some great songs on this album. I ain't gonna shit on it. There's some great songs on it. There's some clunkers, but other than that, like I agree with him that you know, it could have been shortened. You know, and nobody has an hour and 42 minutes to listen to an album. You know, so that's it. But I give my thumbs up.
Yeah, but so that would lead me. So when I was listening to this album, I even had a discussion with my girlfriend about this. I was saying, if something is in some parts boring, but has some great parts, but the music, there's nothing really bad with it. Is it bad, or is it just boring at sometimes? So is boring bad? So that was like the discussion I was thinking about, because and I was thinking, like, this album is, I don't hate this album. I think Rob Halford sounds great in it, like always.
Amazing.
So I've heard some shitty albums doing this series. And this album, it's just not an album it's not an easy listening album. This is not like a Priest album that you can listen to from front to back in a short time and fully enjoy. This is an album that you have to take your time with it. Like we said, it's an hour and 42 minutes long. I didn't remember it. I think if you cut away some of the interludes, it would flow better. And also, there's some great tracks on it, but was it you, or does he, like, there's almost like 3 tracks where he tells you, I am Nostradamus. Like, I can see the future. I'm like, we fucking know you already told me. Like why do we need to like for example, like on the first tracks, you have like you have prophecy, and that's where he says that he's Nostradamus. But then again, in Revelation, he says again that he's Nostradamus. I'm like, okay, we get it. And then at the end, you have Nostradamus, and he once again lets you know that he's Nostradamus. You're not going to forget him, and it's like, come on, you could have just one song telling people that he was Nostradamus.
But I will have you. A lot of concept albums will do that.
Yeah.
Though, because if it's not a concept album, there's no reason to repeat some stuff. Like look at Dream Theater, Scenes from a Memory. It always refers to what's her name, Victoria, whatever her name is, and stuff like that. It goes back and goes back. So there's going to be repeated stuff in a concept album. You know, so yes, I know it, but I know some of the lyrics repeat, but that's the part of a concept album. Yeah. And I've done it too, where a couple of songs, it will repeat something from a song in the beginning of the album, because you know, it's a concept album. That's just how they work, you know.
Yeah. And so for like JC, I had to listen to this album like in short attention spans. Like I listened to some parts, then I listened to some parts, and then today I did shuffle to because I was trying to like a hard time picking like 3 tracks. Oh, the one that really that lost love one was the one that and I didn't pick New Beginnings because you already picked it, but yeah, it's not good. But yeah, there's some boring parts, but there's also some good parts in it. So if they trim a little bit, you will have an amazing album. The thing is that a lot of people listen to this, and it doesn't sound like a classic Judas Priest record. It sounds like something different. But you know what? It takes balls to do something different, and you know why? This at least this concept record is better than some of the last Maiden records that they put out, where the concept is like, so I'm actually going to save this one too. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up because it's bloated and has some boring parts. Still, even the boring parts musically, it's performed well. Even even that Lost Love song that is Disney crap, but it's performed well. You know, if they put that in Aladdin, it would
It's a
have been
good song.
Yes, so it's just not my cup of tea. But I can't say that this just because something isn't your cup of tea, you shouldn't shit on it. So I'm actually saving this album. I don't think it's that bad. It's yes, they could have trimmed a little bit of the fat and like this could have been like an hour and 5 minutes, and that would have been okay. An hour and 5 minutes, just keep the best tracks on it, and amazing album. But yeah, it's not that bad. Just a little bit too long for my taste, but I think it's they took a chance with it, and I think I could understand it, appreciate it more now, older than younger. And at 2008, I don't know, I wanted like short, fast, brutal. So yeah, that was it. So so we've actually JC, we actually saved this album because it's too close to one. So we don't think it's that bad. Just a little bit long, and some parts it can be boring. But yeah, I can't sit here and say that this is the worst thing ever because it's not. So we want to know from you people, what do you think of Judas Priest Nostradamus? Do you think it's bad, or do you agree with Greg and me that it has some, even though that is that long, there's some great stuff in there. You just have to be patient and listen to it. Or do you agree with JC that it's just too long and that and it's just too much filler for it? So we want to know about that. So yeah, coming up for Is It That Bad? The next episode we're gonna do is that U2 album that came out, I think, in 2013 or 14. Sons of Innocence, that album that appeared on your on your phone, that it was given to you like an STD. So we're going to talk about that album for the next episode. So if you haven't done so, please subscribe to JC Rock and Metal Reviews. He's got, he does album reviews, album rankings, and all that good stuff. And he talks about different things. Plus, he's got that history for you in most of his videos. And if you haven't listened to Greg Rossi's band, Drift Into Black, they have an album that they put out. It's been a year and a half now, right?
Yeah, Earth Throne came out June or May of 2021, and we got one. It's in the mixing and mastering phases, so it'll be out this year at some point.
I'm guessing I'll interview you when you put that one out again.
Yeah, that'll be great. I got one thing to say. I got a shout out. Is that all right?
Of course.
All right.
Yeah.
And this is to talk about how bands change and their fans, how the fans go along with the changes. I'm a huge Paradise Lost fan, right? And when Paradise Lost did the album Host, you know, that synth pop, you know, Depeche Mode departure from their normal sound. I loved it. I loved their first album. I love their new albums. I love when they went synth pop and everything like that. And for Judas Priest, you're a huge Judas Priest fan. You don't care which way they go. There's a guy at my job. Okay, he works in the mailroom, right? The biggest Judas Priest fan I've ever met in my entire life, to the point that he wears his uniform. He wears his uniform, and then he comes up to me and goes like this. And there's a Judas Priest shirt under his uniform. So I want to shout out to Calvin for being the biggest Judas Priest fan on the planet, and loves the album Nostradamus. Okay.
Awesome. So we want Calvin to comment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Of course, man. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, first of all, I want to thank, we've had the last month and a half, I have the most subscribers since I started YouTube. I have like more than 85 new subscribers. So I've been getting a lot of new subscribers. So it's, you know, it's fucking awesome because I want those watch hours. So this takes time. So I wouldn't mind like keep growing. And so you share with this, and I love doing it. And of course, this series Isn't That Bad? It's really fun to do. And we pick albums that sometimes people will know, yeah, it's bad, but sometimes there's albums that make you think like, oh, is it really that bad? Or were we just not prepared? Like for an album like Nostradamus back in 2008. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the shield dude on a couch, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Is It That Bad? Thank you and goodbye.